Welcome back everyone to Catherine's Plates. It's the evening time and I am ready to make a one skillet 30-minute meal. Now this is a homemade hamburger helper recipe called beefy noodles. It is so delicious, very easy to make. So back here on the stove today, so we're going to go ahead and get started building all of this in one skillet. You ready? Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I'm using a yellow onion and I'm just going to cut it in half. What I want to do is cut these into dices. The dices will help cook the onion faster. I'm just going to use my chopper here. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing with the bell pepper here. I'm just going to cut off my sides of it, and then I'm going to dice that up also. Now, if you don't like bell pepper in your pasta, you don't have to use it. There's sweet peppers also if you want to use those, or you don't have to use peppers at all. Okay, we are going to be using a large, deep skillet. Now, if you don't have a deep skillet, you can use like a large pot that you would cook pasta or spaghetti in. I'm just going to put this over medium-high heat. Place 1 tablespoon of butter into my pan here. And 1 tablespoon of some cooking oil. Now this is an avocado oil and it's a really healthy oil. I really like the flavor of it. We're going to go ahead and put our peppers and onions in. I'm going to go ahead and season my peppers and onions while they cook. A little bit of salt and some pepper. Give it some nice flavor. Now we want to cook these down until they're nice and soft and maybe a little bit brown to them. Now I really like one skillet meals. When you can just make everything in one skillet and it takes less than 30 minutes, that's a wonderful weeknight meal for your family or heck, even yourself. And I love pasta dishes. I remember those hamburger helper boxes way back in the day. And honestly, those aren't even enough these days to even feed your family. You got to add more pasta. And I remember doing that when my kids were really little, and I was like, nope, had enough of that. So, hence the homemade version here. So the peppers and onions are nice and softened now, and with a little tinge of brown on them, which is nice flavor there. What I have is a pound, maybe 1.25 pounds of ground beef that I'm going to add. Then I'm just going to break this up and I'm going to brown it all up, and then we're going to come right back. We're going to go ahead now and start flavoring up our ground beef here. Now it's already browned, and if you need to drain it at this point, you can go ahead. As I was looking at my ground beef here, there's not enough liquid in there to try to drain that, so I'm going to leave it just like it is. All right, let's go ahead and talk about our broth. Now, I'm using this Better Than Bouillon. I really love this. This is a roasted beef flavor and adds deliciousness to your dish, okay? I'm going to be doubling how much I put of this into the water. So I've got 3 teaspoons of Better Than Bouillon, and I just mixed it up with 1.5 cups of water. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to my ground beef. Now we want to go ahead and put this on a high heat. We want to bring it to a boil. Got 1.5 cups of milk. Now I'm going to add some Worcestershire. If you don't want to add Worcestershire, you don't have to add it, but it adds a little flavor to it that we like. About 1 to 2 teaspoons, whatever you like. I just like to dribble mine in there. I'm going to add some garlic powder. I'm looking at about 1/2 teaspoon. And then I'm going to add some more black pepper. about 1/4 teaspoon. I'm not going to add any salt because the broth has plenty of salt in it, and we will give it a taste here in a little bit and make sure we don't need to add any more seasonings to it. So I'm going to stir this up for a minute. All right, now we need to thicken it. I've got some cornstarch here, and I'm going to add 1 tablespoon. Now, if you don't have cornstarch, you can add some flour to it, and that's fine. All right, just going to get my whisk here. Just going to blend this all together. Okay, as soon as this comes to a boil, we're going to add our pasta. Okay, I'm going to be using some egg noodles for this dish here. You can use any pasta that you would like, okay? These cook faster, so if you use another type of pasta, just keep that in mind that you might have to cook it a little bit longer. Okay. Before I add the pasta, I'm just going to take a spoon and just taste the sauce a little bit. Make sure we don't need to add anything to it. Got my sous chef over here handing me off a spoon. All right. That is so delicious. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's go ahead and add our pasta. Now this is 12 ounces. Okay, now that we've got our noodles in, I'm going to put our burner down to a low. We want to cook it on a simmer. I'm just going to kind of cover the noodles, just kind of bring it all together, stir it up. I'm going to place a lid on it, and we're going to cook it about 12 to 15 minutes until the noodles are nice and tender. Now make sure you check it every so often, and if you feel like you need to add some more broth or some water, you can do that at that time. I've turned my burner off. Now I did go back about halfway through and add 1 cup of broth to this, and it absorbed it all. These noodles are cooked through and very tender. We've tried this. So I'm going to go ahead now. Look at this. 1 skillet, 30-minute meal. Homemade hamburger helper. I'm going to go ahead and put this on a plate for you guys and give it a try. Oh, doesn't that look good? What we need is a fork. There's my bite. I love it. A lot of flavors, very delicious. The noodles are very tender. The flavors absorbed all the way through those noodles. Just remember, this is a 1 skillet, 30-minute meal. Have it on your dinner table, fast as lightning during the weeknights. Heck, have it on the weekend too. Before you leave the house, just make some dinner. Okay, guys. Make sure that you give me a thumbs up on this one. Comment down below what your favorite hamburger helper was. And if you're new to my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and that bell notification. And also, y'all, make sure you're sharing this one with family and friends so they can make their own hamburger helper. All right, I will see you on my next episode.